Well, the Girls Wrestling Club sort of started last year with the state of Iowa having the first official girls state tournament, which was actually ran through some coaches and officials organization, not through the actual state of Iowa, but they had that, and so we noticed that there was a need or a desire or a growing aspect of the sport. So we sort of just put a feeler out last year, put some flyers around the school, see who was interested, and we got some people that responded. Initially there was about 10 girls that responded, of which 6 have stuck with it pretty solidly in the high school level.
I decided to join wrestling because I've been a manager since 8th grade, and so I've been watching the sport a lot.
One time I was at Maddie Platz's house and it just came up in conversation. I was like, maybe I should try that, and then I found out Tori wanted to join and I was like, we can try it together. So.
We kind of set forth a schedule in the fall about what it would look like, and our original intention was to have a separate practice for girls. And then they went to their first tournament, which was in Brooklyn the first week in December, and I think they found out pretty quick that 1 or 2 practices a week wasn't going to cut it, wasn't going to help them be successful.
A couple years back, I told my brother as a joke that I was going to wrestle, and he actually told Coach Jaspers as a joke, and he talked to me like, hey Maddie, I heard you're doing wrestling, and you know, now here we are, and we're actually moving forward with girls wrestling.
Was to just get some girls to decide to actually compete, and we had that in early December with girls that gave it a try, and all of them that did give the initial try are still going. So one of our goals is to keep them out, keep them, nobody quitting, and we've achieved that goal already. And then one of our major goals when we first started this was to get some girls that were willing to wrestle at the state tournament in Waverly here on the January 24th and 25th, and we have 5 girls registered for that are committed to do that, which would be a great opportunity for them.
If you walk into the wrestling rooms, there's a ton of people there, and a lot of the girls that wrestle, they have crazy lives, and they like taking their aggression out in wrestling, and so you hear a lot of cool stories with that.
So we've already kind of surpassed the goals that we set of just having them compete. Now we're excited to get them, competing at a state level, and hopefully they can win some matches there and gain confidence.
Just keep improving and to continue growing the sport, especially because it's gaining a lot of popularity, so I feel like advocating for the sport is important.
My goal is to win a match, which I haven't done yet.
We've already exceeded the goals that we set forth, last spring when we first started meeting with these girls and they started working with them at open mats and stuff. The goal there was to get some girls competing. Then, we kind of advanced to, winning some matches, which the first tournament they wrestled in, they didn't win any matches. And then the last 2 tournaments, they've had 3 different girls that have, won some matches.
I do wish the opportunity was introduced to me earlier.
I wish I at least started in middle school because it's more important now in high school to win your matches. And I just started 2 months ago, and I'm not doing very well because I'm behind everyone else, and going to the guys practice, they've been doing it for so much longer, so it's hard to stay with everybody.
I feel like some people still are not okay with girls wrestling, they just don't understand it because it's not sanctioned by the state of Iowa.
And then obviously moving forward, a goal, not so much of Mount Vernon wrestling, but for the state is that hopefully the state decides to move forward and sanction this sport in the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, so that way, it's more of an organized thing and it's a lot easier to control and be part of, because right now it's a little bit 2 separate things that are sort of blending together as one.
Most of the guys and even some of the girls in the program have been wrestling for 10 or 12 years, and we've been wrestling for 5 months.
As far as the sanction thing, there's a lot of movement towards getting girls wrestling sanctioned in the state of Iowa, and I feel pretty confident saying that if it doesn't happen next season, I think for sure 2 years it will be sanctioned sport. At that point, that we would hopefully here at Mount Vernon sanction a program. We would hire a girls coach, set up a practice schedule and competition schedule for the girls that's separate from the boys. Treat them just like any other sport, where they get have their own practice time, their own schedule, their own buses and everything else, and make it just the same on par with all the other sports here at Mount Vernon.
I was a little hesitant when we first started, very awkward, but I love strength training, and so that was a huge help in being motivated, and so I was really excited to just try and compete and see what would happen.
I kind of thought I would hate it. I really didn't think that I would enjoy it at all. I just thought that it would be something new, and I would probably quit or quit at the end of the season, but I love it, and I'll probably do it for the rest of my high school.
I was like really bored with like my other hobbies, so I needed something new to do, and I was like, well, I can try this. And after the first couple of practices, I like started getting more into it, and then I decided to compete, and I think that's when I started really liking it.
I was really excited because since I've been around wrestling a lot, I know like a lot about it, and I was just excited to see how well I would do.
My biggest challenge is just not letting like their experience levels get to me. Like if they've been wrestling for years and I've only been wrestling since June, I shouldn't let that get to me. I should just go out there and try my best.
Definitely the fear of being pinned, and it's not even the actual wrestling that's stressful, but just your mindset, and before you wrestle, that's the stressful part.
I faced a lot of injuries this season, dealing with like ankle problems and knee problems, and that's something that I've had to like overcome and not get discouraged about and just keep going even though it's hard.
Probably just trying to fit it into my schedule and trying to figure out how much priority it was going to be.
For me, it's just that like everyone seems to be getting so much better, and I feel like I'm going so much slower than everybody, but I just wish I would like start winning, basically. Like I just want to start getting better faster.
It differs a little bit only because we have less time to practice as just girls, and obviously girls are more emotionally driven, but in the same sense we have done boys practices. They're just a little more physically demanding, but they're doable.
Girls are a lot more flexible in places that boys aren't, so some of the moves that Mr. Jasper shows us, or like even at the boys practices, it's more difficult to like actually like execute that on a girl because like they're more flexible.
Personally, I feel like the girls are a lot nicer.
There's not as many people, so it's like automatically varsity, and like, but I think it's definitely different than like if you watch guys wrestling and then watch girls. It's like I think girls is more fast paced.
Do you think it should become an official school sport?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
Just like
definitely,
anything else.
please.